Hey everyone, it's Lisa from Primitive Gatherings, and today I want to show you how to do the blanket stitch. So the first thing you're going to need is your needle, and we want a chenille needle, a 24 chenille needle if you're working with 12 weight thread, and a 22 chenille needle if you're going to work with 8 weight. I have 8 weight here, and I'll show you a quick little threading video as long as we're... So I loop this over my hand, take the eye of the needle, place it directly in the center of the thread, let go of everything but the needle holding onto the thread, and just roll your finger back. And you see how the thread pops up into the eye of the needle. And then we do a quick little knot in the end. And now we're ready to go. So as you can see, I have some of the stitching already done on the mat here. And I'm going to just pick up and start. Now I'm stitching a little bit differently than what I would do if I was at home sitting in my chair. I'm sitting on a table right now, so if I was at home I'd be sitting in my chair, I'd have my pillow in my lap, and I would be over that and working that way. But so just so you know that this isn't how I normally work. Alright. My knot is in the back, I come up, and with my thumb, I pull my thread away, and I'm going to take my needle, and I'm going to move over a little bit. Now, one of the big questions I always get is, how do you space your thread? And that really depends on the size of the shape we're working on. So all I'm doing is scooping up, keeping my thread behind the needle, and then I'm pulling it in the direction where I want it to stay, which is on the side, this way. Not up, this way. So you can hold it this way and pull up, but make sure that you're always controlling your thread. So see how my thumb is controlling it. So now it's tight. Now I let it go, pull it tight, thumb back on, and bring it around. Now every time I bring it around, that makes the stitch. So if I didn't go around, it wouldn't hook and complete the stitch. So it's just, to me, this is just like a natural way to stitch and a part of the stitch. Now you can stitch sideways as well if you're a sideways stitcher. You just pull it in that direction, thumb on, bring it around. And one of the things that I find that people do is they pull their thread so tight. So just kind of pull it gently so it snugs up tight to your shape. Now let's pretend that I ran out of thread. So I'm just going to go directly in front of where my last stitch is. I'm going to scoot to the back side here. I'm going to come up. I'm going to take a little bite on the inside of the shape, and I'm going to make a loop. And I'm going to go through the loop once, and I'm going to go through twice. That is a surgical knot. So see how it just slid right down, and now I can cut it. Alright, so then we'd get another piece of thread, put a knot in the end, and how would we start? We would start on the 90 degree on the other side of where I ended. So I ended on this side, but I'm going to go under the top, but on the side of the last stitch. And then I just bring it down, and it covers my beginning, and you can't tell where I started and where I stopped here. Now I'm just going to stitch, see how now I'm going into this little shape here? I'm just going to stitch a little smaller. And this is kind of how you do a point as well. You go one stitch that way, then I'm going to kind of pivot out of that same hole. So if it was more of a sharper point, you would do 3, but this one I'm going to do 4 because it's more of a rounded curve. But you see how that gently just comes nicely around. And then you would just continue on stitching. So I taught you how to start, I taught you how to stop, and I think that's all what we really need to do right now in this video. And the one thing I want to teach you too is don't stitch till you have hardly any thread left. Pretty much when you get down to about 4 or 5 inches, that's the time to really end. So right here, if I had a lot of thread, I would just travel underneath and start stitching here. So you kind of stitch the outer shape first and then you stitch the shape on top. So now I only have this much thread left, so I'm just going to go and end again. So I'll let you watch how that goes again. Take a little bite, loop, go through once, go through twice, and there you go. So that's the blanket stitch, and this stitch is a little bit heavier thread because these are nice big shapes. And one of the questions is how do you know what thread to use on what size shape? And basically I kind of just pick, if it's a big shape, I pick a little bit thicker thread. If it's a smaller shape, tinier, I'll pick a lighter weight, a 12 weight, or a 3. If it's really, really tiny, then that's when I would pick a 3-stranded floss and only use 1 strand of it. So there you go. That's the blanket stitch.